guys, thank you so much for checking out my channel. My name is Joe. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I do a reverse sear tri tip. I just got done cleaning up the grills, so here in a minute we're going to go inside. We're going to get the tri tip all cleaned up. We're going to get rubbed up, and then we're going to get it back out here, get it on the Traeger, and try to put a little bit of smoke on it. Alright guys, so what I got here is a little less than 2.5 pounds of tri tip. Alright, this guy is pretty nice. It's got a little bit of marbling going on through here. What I'm going to do is we're just going to kind of trim off some of this excess little bits right here. Okay, we really don't want that stuff when we're cooking. I mean, you leave it on. It's really not going to do much to change the flavor all that much. I just prefer to go ahead and take it off. Now, as we're looking at it, we'll go ahead and flip it over. So on this side here, they left the fat cap on, which is absolutely fine. If you choose to leave that on, that's entirely up to you. For me, like I said, little things like this, I'm gonna go ahead and take this kind of stuff off. And you know what? I think that's looking pretty good. I think that's about where I want it. All right. Now the rest of this, like I said, most of this stuff will just kind of crisp up and burn off as you cook it. But like I said, guys, for the most part, this is basically everything that came off. Not really good eating, all right? Next thing, I'll show you what we do next. So the next thing that we're gonna do, and I actually learned how to do this on How to Barbecue Right, so this is a great tip. What we're gonna try to do is we're gonna try to remove a little bit of moisture out of the tri tip. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna hit it. A pretty nice covering of some kosher salts. Pretty heavy coat, guys. Again, we're just trying to pull as much water out as we can. All right, we're gonna let this sit for about 15 minutes and then we're gonna rinse it off. All right, guys. So we just rinsed off all that excess salt. We were able to pull out a lot of moisture from inside the meat. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take off the excess water that we just got done rinsing it off with via paper towel. Letting it dry. All right, guys, next we are gonna bring out our handy dandy jacquard. It's a pretty lean cut, so this is gonna definitely help to kind of break down the tissue on the inside, you know, tender. Guys, once again, it's nice and tender. It's ready to get all rubbed up. As soon as we get finished rubbing this guy up, we're gonna throw it on the grill. So, all right, guys, remember that pro tip that I showed you, or that I told you rather. Use a pan, okay? It's gonna help to catch your seasonings. Today, what I'm using is I am using this Jack Daniel's steak seasoning. Okay, it's more of a coarser kind of rub, but what it's gonna do is it's gonna help give some texture. It's got some pepper, some garlic. It's kind of like a Montreal, only, you know, with a Jack Daniel's twist on it and stuff. It's a really good seasoning. And in case you didn't notice, we've got 2 tri tips. I went ahead and did this guy off camera, but this side is looking pretty good. So the next rub that we're gonna use is we're actually gonna use this Honey Hogs Hot Barbecue. This is from Meat Church. Same thing, guys. It's actually really, really good. It's gonna give it a good bite. It's a little tangy, a little hot, but you want some of that coming out of this tri tip. So guys, we want to give these about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes. We want to let these get a little wet before we go ahead and flip them and do the process on the opposite side. If you didn't notice, I'm actually putting the seasoning on the fat side first. That way when I flip it over, the presentation side, when we throw it on the grill, it's gonna look a hell of a lot cleaner on the meat side. All right, guys, it's been about 10 minutes. What we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna flip it over. We're gonna repeat the process. Not sure if you can tell on the camera, but it's looking pretty good from here. All right, we're gonna let this sweat in for a good, I don't know, 10 minutes. So while we're doing that, we're gonna go ahead and jump outside. We'll get the Traeger all heated up, and hopefully by the time these guys get done setting, the Traeger will be nice enough to temp. All right, guys, we got some smoke rolling on the Traeger. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna get this guy closed up. We're gonna come down here. We're gonna get this set for 275 degrees. Today also we are using some hickory. Now you don't have to, that's just what I'm using. Typically I'll use hickory or mesquite. Sometimes I even use the Traeger blend, but I find that hickory comes out pretty good when I do my tri-tip. Alright guys, you can see we just hit 278. We are preheated and ready to go. We're gonna get these tri-tips on the Traeger. So as you can see guys, the rub has really kind of adhered to the meat. That's when you know it's time to go on the grill. All right, we're gonna let these guys go for about 40-45 minutes. All right, so while the Traeger is doing its thing, I'm gonna go ahead and get my Weber kettle going. I've got a chimney fire starter here. I got some B&B charcoal. I'm gonna get this thing filled up. I got a couple of tumbleweeds that I'm gonna go ahead and light off to the side. Get the charcoal over the top of this, and it's gonna get really hot really fast. All right guys, these coals are getting nice and hot, so I'm gonna go ahead and take this off. I'm gonna get the grill out. I'm gonna get the charcoal down here and then start preheating my grill grates. All right, got the grill grates in place. Those are gonna get nice and hot, and that's what we're gonna use the Seared Tri Tip with. All right guys, it's been about 45 minutes and these guys are looking right where I want them. See, we got kind of that dark little bark going on. Sides looking good. We're gonna go ahead and get these off, and then we're gonna go ahead and sear them. All right, we got these grill grates nice and hot. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna slap them down. We're gonna let these tri-tips go for about a minute and a half. Before we go ahead and start rotating them, we wanna make sure that we get those nice crosshatch marks that you always see on a nice steak, or in this case, a tri-tip. So we're going meat side down. All right, we'll get the lid on this thing and let it go for about a minute to a minute and a half. All right, it's been about a minute and a half. What we are gonna do is we are gonna go ahead and turn these guys just a bit. Let that go for about another minute and a half. Alright guys, just got these off of the Weber kettle. There's a lot of juice still running throughout the inside of this tri-tip. The last thing that I want to do right now is cut into it and lose all of that great juice. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to get these guys wrapped up in some foil. We're going to add a little bit of butter, and that's going to help to retain some of that moisture. It's also going to impart just a little bit more fat, so that while these guys sit, it's going to continue to redistribute those juices all throughout the inside of the meat. So stay tuned. So what we're doing is we're just gonna get our tri-tip here, right? Look at that, looks beautiful. Set this guy right here. Gonna get a couple of chunks of butter. Get it right on top. Remember, this is nice and hot still. It's gonna help, the butter's gonna melt over the top of it. It's gonna kind of absorb that juice a little bit. When it's hot like that and it's steaming like that, it's gonna try to pull in whatever moisture that it can, all right? Get this guy kind of wrapped up tight. Remember, tight. You want this guy tight. All right, now we're just gonna let this hang out, let the juices redistribute all throughout the inside of it. All right, guys, it's Time to cut into this and see how we did. Oh man, look at all that juice. That was beautiful. When you are cutting a tri-tip, one thing that you're gonna find is the grain kind of comes to a point down here. It'll run down this way and kind of come to a point. All right, now it changes up a little bit as you go. So what we're gonna do, gonna cut about 1/3 of the way down. It's kind of like a brisket, but I'm gonna cut 1/3 of the way down. I'm gonna get this guy off real quick. Oh yeah, right there. How's that? Look at that juice. And so I'll try to kind of cut it at a bias. You cut it at a bias, that way when you go ahead and you bite into the meat, it pulls apart a hell of a lot easier. It's not stringy, because again, the grain is running this way, so we're gonna cut against the grain. Kind of take this butt off. Now I like my slices not too terribly thick, but I don't like those little thin slices. They kind of lose the moisture really fast. Boom. All right. And the chef's cut right there. Let's give it a try. Oh man. Woo! 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 That was crazy tender. Still really, really juicy. Again, you didn't want to lose that juice. That right there was the finishing touch on all that good meat. So guys, try the recipe out. Tell me how you like it. Comment and subscribe. Definitely leave me a like if you can. I would truly appreciate that. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you guys check it out on the next one.